Hello and welcome to Piginhatwoodcrafts. Following the request of a number of users in the laser community, I'm creating this tutorial to walk you through how I create my black metal business card collages, as you can see on the screen here. So basically each collage is made up of 20 of the metal business cards which I get from Amazon, and I've been doing quite a few of these, so I'll just flip through them so you can see. And I've obviously got a bit of a weird taste in art, but there you go. So that's just some of the images that I've done, and I'm going to walk you through today how to make these. My background is in woodwork, but since getting my lasers I've started to move on to other materials. But things that I've made with my lasers in wood is, this is a file I got off Etsy, which is quite nice. This is one of my designs that I made, and this is on Etsy. Another one of my designs, again on Etsy, and this train station clock, again another one of my designs. But getting back to the why we're here, so each of these collages are made up of 20 individual black metal business cards, and then they are affixed to a backboard. So I'll now take you through the process of how I make these. So I don't know what software you use for editing your images, but I've been using GIMP since around about 97, 98. And it's pretty much like Photoshop, but the good thing about GIMP is it's free. So this is the image we're going to be using. But before we do that, I shall hop over to here. So if you haven't got GIMP, get yourself over to gimp.org and you can download the latest version for Windows and Mac and Linux, I believe. Yes, Linux. Get yourself that copy. Once you've got that downloaded, we're going to need a plugin that allows you to slice up your chosen image, and that will be going over to gamedev.net. Don't worry about these links, I'll put them in the description below. Once you've got to gamedev.net, you need to scroll down to where it says a better automated way. We'll get there eventually. There is a much more automated method. So here's the plugin that you need to download, and this gives you the instructions on how to install it, and it will also take you through step by step to learn how to use this plugin. But seeing as I'm going to be showing you how I make my collages, I'll talk you through using that plugin now. So if we go back to GIMP, so here's the image that I'm going to use. To start off with, I worked out how many slices I needed per business card, and I came to the value that each image, if you make it 4072 by 3200, then you'll be able to slice this perfectly over 20 business cards. Obviously this is landscape, you can flip it around and you can make it portrait. I do all my pre-processing of my images in GIMP before importing them into XCS. That's just my personal preference at the moment. Basically you've got choice. You can go in, you can change the hue, the saturation, the color balance, brightness and contrast, so you can make it brighter if you want. You can make it darker, but I liked it I've already got it set the way I like, so I'll cancel that. Okay, so the next thing is, because we're engraving onto black metal business cards, we need to have the image inverted. So we'll go to colors, invert. Now you can see we've got a single image that's been inverted. The next step is, now we want to split this into 20 individual images, one per card. What you need to do is, if you go over to the layers where you've got the name of the image that you've imported or you've opened, you want to get rid of, if there's one present, the file extension, because I got this image off the internet. It's got a weird name, so I'm just going to rename it to Venom. That's that. Okay, so now if you've successfully installed the slicing plugin that I spoke of earlier, when you go to your layers menu, you'll now see you have a new option, tiles, and going into there, we're going to be split tiles by rows and columns. So wait for that to open up. So because this collage is going to be landscape, I want to have 5 rows and 4 columns. I'll stretch this out a bit so you can see what this is here. I can just get the mouse correctly. So here what you'll see now is this, I don't bother changing the naming convention for each layer it's going to create, but what it will do is it will give me the column number and the row number. Here I've said that I want to do row first, so basically I'll get a load of, you'll see a load of images or layers and images that will be row 1, row 2, row 3, row 4 and row 5. I don't bother changing keep in place. I do set no change because I don't want my image to be altered. And then all you do is you click on OK. And over here now on the layers section, you can see all the individual layers have been created. Okay, so if I pick anyone at random, I don't know if you can, I'm trying to think, where is it? You can just barely just see the outline of it there. But if I turn it off, so you can see that's what that image pertains to. Okay, so we now have all our individual images, and you can see there you've got 1 1 2 1 3 1 4 1 and then 1 2, so that'll be your rows, your columns. Okay, right, so next thing to do is we want to export layers, which will do it in one hit for us. And you can choose wherever you want to place it. I'm going to save them on my desktop because once I've used them and imported them into XCS, I'll delete them to save disk space. I always choose the file extension PNG for ping and click export. And it will come up and you do export again. Now, depending on your image, that might take a while. So while that's going on, we'll nip over to here. Just to let you know that I have a Facebook group for friends and people that know me or are interested in what I do with my woodwork and my lasers. This is basically a group where I share my content to let people know what I'm working on. It isn't the kind of forum where others share their work. This is solely for me sharing my ideas and my work. And of course I have an Etsy store where I sell the designs that I've made on my lasers. So you can see there I've got quite a few. So these are my designs, and again the link will be in the description. So there's quite a few to choose from, and as I'm working through different things, I add them to the store. Okay, so let's go back to see what's happening with GIMP. It's still working. Let's have a look. Yeah, so that's taking a bit of time. So what I'll do is I'll pause the video and then I'll come back once that's finished. Okay. Okay, we're back. So yeah, so basically depending on the detail and of what's in your image will determine how long the export layers take. So I now have, as you can see here on my desktop, I have 20 individual images. So I just pick one at random. So you can see there now this particular image will go onto a business card, which is part of Venom's mouth. So once you have all your images and you then go into XCS, which is xTool's proprietary laser software, and you can see here that I've already imported all the images ready to send to the laser. So what I'll do now is I'll go upstairs to the laser and then we'll continue on from there. See you in a bit. Okay, so I'm up here now with my two lasers. I've already imported all the individual slices into XCS, and what I do is, although you can import them using the image button to import them individually, or you can drag and drop them en masse in one go, I choose to import them one at a time and place them as you see here, so that I can visually see the image of what I'm going to be making. And the reason I do that is that some of the images I have lots of background, you know, if you can see there, lots of background, and if there's lots of them that are very similar, it's hard to know where to place them. So that's why I choose to import them one at a time. Okay, so the next thing you have to do is, if you're using the F1, of course, if I bring up here, is because we're using the IR laser, you need to go into settings, and settings again, and you need to make sure you have infrared preheat switched on, which I've already done here, you have to remember that each time you close XES, that will default back to being off. So you have to remember to come in and turn that on so it preheats the IR laser before doing the engraving. So, and also the next thing I do is so I can find out what are the best settings for each, well, for the whole image, I like to take a tile that has a bit of background and a bit of the image, which you can see there, and then I'll put in the settings. I already know what my settings are, but I'll go through them with you. First off, when I import the image or the slices into XES, I don't make any other changes to it. I don't change any of the bitmaps, the sharpness, grayscale. I don't do anything to it. I'll leave it as it is. So, set to output, it's going to be engrave. We're using the IR laser. Now, I've already done some tests just to speed things up, so I know for this particular image, a dot duration of 185, a power of 65, DPI of 500 works a treat, and the image will come out great. And I always use Jarvis as a bitmap mode. Now, depending on your image, you will need to play around with these values, and obviously the higher the DPI, the longer each tile will take. Okay, so I've got that one centered in the workspace, and I've already I've set the dial focus, so the two dots are lined up. And then if I go to framing, you can see here that I've got my card already framed, ready to go. Now, yes, I could make a jig so that I wouldn't have to manually place the card and line it up with the framing beam, but I'm retired, and the number of seconds it takes to line it up doesn't bother me at all, so I'm quite happy to carry on that way. But by all means, if you want to make yourself a jig, maybe one day I'll do one as well, but for now this is how I do it. So then we click process, and it will come up here, and what I'll do is I'll kick this off, and then I'll come back once it's finished, because obviously I'm sure you don't want to hear however long this is going to take noise from the laser. So if I come up and I'll start it, send it to the laser, I'll press the button, and you'll see that the IR will start to preheat, as you can see there. So that's going to preheat for 10 seconds. I didn't put the lid down, so I'll try that now. Always remember eye safety. So that is now processing, and I'll come back when it's finished. Okay, so that test card has been done, but like I said, I already know what the settings were. So for that particular slice, card, whatever we call them, took 7 minutes 39 seconds. See it there, if I take it out, and that looks very good. That's brilliant, look at that. Okay, so what I'll do now is I'll continue to process all the other cards, and then I'll come back and show you what the end result looks like before we move on to making the backboard. See you in a bit. Okay, so here we are. This is the finished collage. You can see all the individual cards. I think that's come out really beautiful. I think this is going to be possibly my favourite one that's going to add to my art collection. So as I was saying, the difference in your image depends on how long each image slice will take. So for example, these ones with lots of white, so this one here took, as you know, 7 minutes 39 seconds. This one was similar. These ones are around about 8 minutes, 8.5 minutes, because of so much white. But then down here, these ones, for example, were under 2 minutes because they're so dark. Okay, so now to move on to making the backboard. Catch you in a bit. Okay, so here we go. So I've now loaded my backboard project, and I'm using my S1. I won't go into the details of engraving and cutting, because basically if you know your laser, you know what your settings will be for scoring a line for each card and then cutting the board out. But you can see here I have it all ready to go, my S1. So the thing to do now is to send that to the laser. Process. Okay, and start. It's ready to go, and of course I shall turn my fan on because I have an inline external fan on, and away we go. And I shall come back when it's done. You just see it kick off first. Okay, so we're back, and the backboard on my S1 40 watt took 3 minutes and 51 seconds. You can see here, it's already, pop that out. And as you can see there, we have a nice backboard with an outline to show where each card goes. So you could have it landscape or portrait. Okay, now let's go and get this one put together. Okay, so here we are. This is now the backboard has been treated. So you can still see, if you look carefully, I'll get it shining on the light. You can still see the engraving for each card, so I've got the correct placement. And all I do is, when I first started doing these, I used to paint them with acrylic paint and a paintbrush, but that took a bit too long to dry. So now I just use acrylic marker pens, and they dry almost instantly. Okay, so I can't actually video myself sticking them down, and because I need to concentrate on getting them placed correctly. But you can see here now I have each card in place, and what I use to glue them down with is this industrial grade super glue, which I get off of Amazon. And basically, since I started my woodworking journey back in 2019, that's all I've ever used, and it just works perfect. Okay, so I shall be back when I've got them stuck down. And here we have part of the way through, work in progress. Getting there slowly but surely. It's looking good. And here we have the result, which I'm very pleased with. I think this will be my favourite one, take pride in place on the wall. That's come out really good. So I'm happy with that. And basically, that's how I create my business card collages. I hope you have fun trying your own. Till the next one.